Wait, China only has one time zone? I'll explain this and other strange time zones in this video. Reading the title, you might ask how China only has one time zone. Well, China is actually big enough to fit into 5 separate time zones, but only uses one, Beijing time. This was caused by the Communist Party's desire for unified control, which means that for people on the western side of China, the sun might rise at 10 or even 11 a.m. This also causes anyone leaving China and entering Afghanistan to turn their clocks back 3.5 hours. You might have heard of countries that use 30 minutes in their time zone, but have you ever heard of a country that uses 45 minutes in their time zone? Well, that's the case in Nepal, where they use GMT or UTC plus 5:45. This means that Nepal is 5 hours and 45 minutes off the time in London. And it's 15 minutes ahead of India. Meanwhile, in the Chatham Islands, New Zealand, they use UTC or GTM plus 12:45. If you thought this was strange, you should see a map of Australian time zones. In Australia, there are 3 time zones without counting daylight savings time. In Western Australia, the time is UTC plus 8. In the Northern Territory and South Australia, the time is UTC plus 9.5. And in the Eastern states, it is UTC plus 10. Now this seems normal until you consider what happens during daylight savings time. Western Australia does not follow daylight savings time and stays at UTC plus 8. Next, the Northern Territory does not follow daylight savings, but South Australia does, and uses UTC plus 10.5. To complicate things even more, Queensland does not follow daylight savings either and still uses UTC plus 10, while the other eastern states, such as New South Wales and the Capital Territory, use daylight savings and use UTC plus 11. In a simple world, there would be 24 equal time zones, so you might say that there are 24 time zones, UTC plus 0 to 12, and then UTC minus 11 to minus 12. This simply isn't the case, however, and this is because of Kiribati, which added the time zones UTC plus 13 and UTC plus 14. This was done to stop the country from being divided in half by the international dateline. Alongside Kiribati, Samoa uses UTC plus 14 and New Zealand uses UTC plus 13 during daylight savings time. Across the Pacific, and we arrive in the state of Arizona, one of only 2 states that does not use daylight savings time, alongside Hawaii. This gets stranger when you consider that the Navajo Reservation uses daylight savings time, while the Hopi Reservation does not. And to make it even more confusing, there is a Hopi enclave inside of the Navajo Reservation, and there is a Navajo enclave inside the Hopi Reservation. To put this all in perspective, if you start in Nevada here and travel to New Mexico during daylight savings time, you have the chance to change your clock 7 times. Next, we go to the Arctic, where we have our next strange time zone. Diomedes, islands between Alaska and Russia, and split by the international dateline. Little Diomede is owned by the United States, and Big Diomede is owned by Russia. The islands are only 2.4 miles or 3.8 kilometers apart. Despite this, they have a 21-hour time difference, or 20-hour time difference during daylight savings. When daylight savings is not occurring, it is 8 a.m. on Monday on Little Diomede, and it is 5 a.m. on Tuesday on Big Diomede, just 3 miles away. In the winter, an ice bridge forms between the 2 islands. However, it is illegal to travel between the 2 islands. So, after saying all of this, how many days go on at the same time? And is it theoretically possible to say on the same day for more than 24 hours? Yes, because of UTC plus 14. 3 days can go on at the same time for 2 hours. First, in American Samoa, it is 11 p.m. on Saturday, but in New York, it is 6:30 a.m. on Sunday. But in Christmas Island, Kiribati, it's 12:30 a.m. on Monday, which means that 3 different days went on at the same time. The world is full of weird time zones, from Arizona's reservations to Diomede Island's 21-hour time difference. Thanks for watching this history video. I also have a new math channel coming out on January 22nd, 2022 at 12 p.m. Eastern Time, where I will make math tutorial videos unscheduled. See you next time.